Kemi had always dreamed of making it big in Lagos. She had spent years perfecting her craft as a hairstylist, and when she finally saved enough money, she moved to Festac to open her own salon. She was confident that her skills would bring her success, but soon, reality set in. Festac was a bustling hub, filled with hairstylists on almost every street. Unlike Kemi, these stylists worked fast, finishing multiple customers while she struggled with just one. She was slow, but her work was perfect. Every braid, every weave, every style she touched was flawless. Yet, customers didn't have the patience for her pace. At first, they admired her skill. They praised her neat handwork and the way her hairstyles lasted longer than others. But as the weeks passed, their patience wore thin. Some began to joke that anyone making hair at Kemi's salon should come with a bed and duvet, because they would be there all day. Others simply stopped coming, preferring faster stylists. Kemi watched helplessly as her shop, once filled with laughter and chatter, became empty. Bills piled up. She barely made enough to cover rent. Frustration gnawed at her. "Why is this happening to me?" she muttered one evening, staring at the empty chairs in her shop. She had worked so hard, yet success felt out of reach. One night, in desperation, she called her friend Janet. Janet was also a hairstylist, but unlike Kemi, she was thriving. She had a salon in Lagos Island that was always packed. When Janet answered the phone, her voice was lively, full of energy. "Kemi, long time. How is business?" Kemi sighed. "It's not moving, my sister. Customers are running away because I'm too slow. I don't know what to do." Janet chuckled. "Ah, you think Lagos is for slow? My dear, if you want to win, you have to join the winning team." Kemi frowned. "Winning team? What do you mean?" "I mean there are ways to make it in this business." Janet said, "Look at me. I do 20 heads a day. You think it's just hard work?" Kemi's heart pounded. She knew Janet had a secret, and at that moment, she was willing to do anything to learn it. "Tell me what to do," she whispered. Janet paused and said, "Come and see Madame Gold." Madame Gold was a name Kemi had heard before, but only in whispers. She was a wealthy woman, known for helping struggling businesses, but at a price. Kemi hesitated, but then thought of her empty shop, her unpaid bills, her wasted talent. She had no choice. The next evening, Janet took Kemi to meet Madame Gold in a grand mansion. The woman was dressed in gold jewelry, her eyes sharp and piercing. She smiled at Kemi. "Janet says you want to succeed." "Yes, Ma," Kemi said nervously. Madame Gold leaned forward. "Success is easy if you're willing to do what it takes." "I'm ready," Kemi said, her voice firm. Madame Gold led her into a dark room with burning candles. In the center of the room was an old black pot. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating. "This pot," Madame Gold said, "will make your hands faster, but you must keep it in your shop. Every month, you must put a strand of hair from one of your customers inside it. If you forget, the price will be unbearable." Kemi swallowed hard. "And what if customers notice?" "They won't," Madame Gold assured her. "The spirits will work only when you are alone with the customer. Some of them will fall asleep, but do not be afraid." Kemi took the pot, her hand shaking. She was scared, but desperation won over fear. That night, she kept the pot in her shop. The next day, everything changed. The next morning, Kemi woke up feeling anxious. She kept wondering if the ritual would actually work, or she had just wasted her time. She arrived at her shop early, arranging everything neatly, and waited. Then, the first customer walked in, a young lady who wanted box braids. Kemi took a deep breath, picked up her comb, and started. Within minutes, something strange happened. Her hands felt lighter, moving faster than ever before. It was as if she was not the one doing the hair. She barely felt the movement, yet her fingers worked like magic. By the time she finished, she looked at the clock. Only 30 minutes had passed. The customer, shocked, touched her hair. "Ah, Kemi, how did you finish so fast? And it's so neat." Kemi forced a smile. "I've been practicing," she said, hiding her own surprise. Word spread quickly. More customers trooped into her shop. Within a week, she had more customers than she could handle. Everyone wanted Kemi to do their hair. The other hairstylists in Festac became restless. How was Kemi suddenly the fastest and best stylist? But Kemi was smart. She remembered Madame Gold's warning. Never let customers see what was happening inside. She arranged her shop carefully. There was a reception area where customers waited. Only one customer was allowed inside the main salon at a time. She told them it was for exclusive service and that she wanted her work to be perfect. But the real reason? She didn't want them to see the ghostly hands helping her. Every time Kemi started customers' hair, the person immediately fell into a deep sleep. By the time they woke up, their hair was perfectly done. No one questioned it because they were always happy with the results. But not everyone was fooled. Other stylists, jealous and suspicious, started talking. How is Kemi doing this? Why do her customers always sleep? This is not normal. They decided to investigate. A young stylist named Abigail was chosen to go undercover. She was told to pretend to be a customer and find out what was going on. She entered Kemi's shop and tried to stay awake. But within minutes of sitting in the chair, she felt dizzy, and no matter how hard she fought it, she fell asleep. When she woke up, her hair was done and Kemi was smiling at her. Abigail ran back to the other stylists, confused. I don't know how, but I slept off, and my hair is done. I didn't even feel her hands on my head. Now, the other stylists were certain something supernatural was happening. They planned to expose Kemi. But first, they needed proof. Abigail was sent again, but this time, she had a different mission: to steal the key to Kemi's shop. They knew Kemi had a security man who watched over her shop at night. So, they made a plan. Abigail started getting close to the security man, bringing him food, chatting with him, acting friendly. Over time, the security man became comfortable with her. One night, Abigail drugged his drink. The man fell into a deep sleep. Carefully, she searched his pockets and found the key to Kemi's shop. That night, she entered the shop silently. She looked around, searching for clues. She didn't see anything strange at first, but then she had an idea. She had small cameras in different corners of the shop. Now, they would finally see what was happening inside. The next night, Abigail sneaked back in and retrieved the cameras. She rushed back to the other stylists. They connected the footage to a laptop. What they saw made their blood run cold. On the screen, they saw a ghostly figure, shadowy, invisible force braiding a customer's hair while Kemi stood nearby. The customer was asleep. The hands moved swiftly, weaving the braids perfectly in seconds. It was not human. The stylist screamed in shock. "This girl is using juju," one of them whispered. "We need to expose her." They planned to post a video on social media the next morning. They were sure that by daylight, the whole of Lagos would know Kemi's secret. But when morning came, something terrifying happened. The camera and laptop was gone. Abigail swore she had kept it in a safe place. The stylist searched everywhere, but it had vanished. A cold fear settled among them. They knew what they saw, but now, without evidence, they couldn't prove anything. Worse, they didn't know who had taken the camera and laptop or what would happen next. Shaken, they decided it was best to leave Kemi alone. Some secrets were too dangerous to uncover. Meanwhile, Kemi, unaware of what had happened, was enjoying her success. She had no idea that her luck was about to run out. Kemi's success was undeniable. Customers flooded her salon daily, eager to experience her magic hands. Money poured in. Within months, she bought a brand new SUV, dressed in the finest clothes, and lived in luxury. But she never forgot the one rule Madame Gold gave her. Every month, she had to place a strand of a customer's hair in the pot. She had followed the rules religiously, until the night that changed everything. One evening, Janet invited Kemi to celebrate her success at an upscale club. At first, Kemi hesitated. She knew her monthly ritual was due, but she convinced herself, "I'll do it first thing in the morning." That night, Kemi drank too much. She and Janet partied until the early hours and booked a hotel to sleep it off. By the time she woke up, She had completely forgotten about the ritual. 2 days passed. That night, Kemi had a terrifying dream. She saw shadowy figures surrounding her, their voices whispering, "Where's our sacrifice?" She jolted awake, drenched in sweat. Her heart pounded. Something felt off. She reached for her phone and decided to call Janet. But when she dialed, a stranger's voice answered. "Who is this?" Kemi asked. "I'm a doctor," the voice replied. "Janet was in a terrible accident yesterday. She's in a coma." Kemi's blood ran cold. Janet in a coma? Panic set in. She immediately called Madame Gold. The number was unreachable. She tried again. Nothing. Determined to shake off the fear, Kemi went to her salon, telling herself she'd fix things. She had a full day of customers, and she would do her job as usual. But something terrifying happened. A woman came in for braids. Like always, she fell asleep while Kemi worked. But when Kemi finished and tried to wake her, the woman would not wake up. Kemi shook her. "Madam, wake up." Nothing. Fear gripped her. She poured water on the woman's face. Still nothing. Then, after several minutes, the woman's eyes snapped open. But it wasn't normal. Her face looked ghostly pale. Her lips twisted into an unnatural smile. And when she spoke, her voice was not human. "You forgot to pay, now you must suffer." Kemi stumbled back, screaming. The woman got up, walked to the door, and disappeared into the street without looking back. From that moment, Kemi's nightmare began. That night, Kemi couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard whispers. "You must pay. You must pay." Then, the pain started. An invisible hand grabbed her wrist. She screamed as a burning sensation spread through her hands. She tried to yank her hand away, but there was nothing there. Her fingers turned black, twisting painfully. She screamed and cried, begging for mercy. No one answered. By morning, her hands were gone, and then her shop burned down. The entire building was reduced to ashes. People gathered, whispering about how a mysterious fire had consumed Kemi's salon overnight. Some said it was juju. Others claimed Kemi had offended the gods. But one thing was certain, Kemi was never seen again. The other stylists in Festac, the same ones who had once tried to expose her, felt relief. "Whatever power she used," one of them muttered, shaking her head, "is finally finished her." People in the neighborhood gossiped about what had happened, but no one ever found out the full truth. All they knew was that Kemi had vanished. Moral of the story: taking shortcuts for success, especially through evil means, always leads to destruction. Greed and desperation can blind a person to the consequences of their actions. True success comes from hard work, patience, and faith. Only God can give you everlasting success.